Hello, everyone. I'm Rod Wortham, and welcome to this special edition of Race-Face Driver Updates here on Racing America. In this episode, we look back on the first half of the 2022 season, including a couple of spotlight interviews, some new segments, and what we can look forward to in the second half of the 2022 season. We start off with the highlights from a spotlight interview with Connor Mosack. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this special edition of Race-Face Spotlight. Today, we're going out to Charlotte, North Carolina, and sitting down and talking with Connor Mosack. Connor, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good, Rod. How are you?
I'm doing fine. So, Connor, let's get right to it. You've had a very busy year so far. You're racing in the Trans Am Series. You're doing some super late model racing. You're doing some ARCA racing. And I think later in this little segment, you're going to make an additional announcement on another car that you're going to be getting in. But let's first talk about the Trans Am Series. You've had an opportunity to run on 3 iconic tracks this year. So let's take a little piece of each one of them real quick. Let's talk about COTA.
Yeah, COTA is one of the, it's probably the nicest facility that we go to. Obviously, it's purpose-built for Formula One. It's got all the paddocks already built there. It's got the tower around the backside of the track. It's really just a first-class facility all around. And, it's a track, it's a fairly new track as far as the ones we go to on the schedule, with it only being about 10 or 15 years old. And you can just tell they've done a great job and they haven't spared any expenses going there. And it's just been a cool place to I've watched races being held there for the last 10 years, and now being able to go there in person is a little surreal, but it's a really cool experience.
Yeah, I know from a fan's aspect, I mean, when you look at that place, it is just totally amazing. I can't even imagine what it's like taking a trip around that track. Let's now switch out and talk real shortly about Laguna Seca and the corkscrew. What was it like your first time going down that corkscrew?
It's pretty crazy the first couple times. You get used to it, after, you're at speed and you're going through there. But even this last year, it was my second time being there. And even my first lap, just rolling around under caution going down there, it still kind of takes you by surprise the first time you go down there, just how steep it is and how much speed you really pick up right there. And your line has to be really precise because you can't see really where you're going. So it's a really cool corner, and it's very unique, to say the least.
Well, that was going to be my question. What is it like heading into that, knowing that it's there, but you can't see it until you're in it?
Right, and if you misjudge it a little bit too much to the steep side, you can really bottom out the car and break a control arm or something else, maybe even damage a tire. And if you're too far to the left, you're just giving up a lot of free speed. So you have to be real precise and kind of just know where you're at on the track. I know in our race this year, that was somewhere we struggled. We're still not really sure why, but that seemed to be the one place that everybody would beat us. So I guess I've got some work to do through there, but it's still overall a great corner.
Yeah, well, I think everybody is probably intimidated and probably struggles with that elevation thing. I think I looked at it and it was like, I want to say it's like 108 feet elevation change from the time you enter it till you kind of pop out of the bottom of it.
Yeah, because even once you get kind of out of it, you're still going downhill until you get to the next corner. So it's probably a pretty good elevation change. I'm sure I walked it when I went there last year, and it obviously is much steeper when you go out there and you're just walking versus when you're in the car. But it's definitely got a lot of elevation, across that whole track.
And what's the speed that you're hitting going down through that corkscrew?
I think before we hit the brakes going into it, we're revving out third gear there, so I assume it'd probably be somewhere around 140 miles an hour, maybe a little bit more. And then we slow down to probably 30 miles an hour, 35, taking the first corner, and then you're right back up to speed. So it's a pretty quick change of speed and change of direction.
All right, so let's shift. We'll stay out in California, and that's exactly what you did. You raced at Laguna Seca, and I think the next weekend you were at Sonoma. So tell us a little bit about Sonoma.
Sonoma's another great place. Obviously, it's a track that NASCAR goes to, so it's a really valuable place to get laps. And even though we run a little bit different configuration with the carousel, which NASCAR went to for a little bit, which they're not going to now. But I think the harder parts of the track, you still get to go through like turn 1, 2, and 3. Those are it's a tough section, and also the S's around the back part of the track. For us, it was another place we struggle a little bit. It's very low grip and a lot of low speed corners, which is our cars seem to be best with the higher grip, higher speed stuff. So, we're still able to qualify third there. Just fell off a little bit in the race, unfortunately, but still, it's probably the most beautiful track as far as a spectator going up on a hill and looking down. You can almost see the whole thing, and it's just a really pretty area.
All right, so all of this road course racing experience that you have has really opened up a door of opportunity for you to run your first Xfinity race. Would you like to tell everybody where you're going to be running that race real quickly and who you're going to be racing for?
Yeah, I'm super excited. We're going to be running the Xfinity race in Portland for Joe Gibbs Racing in the number 18 Toyota Supra. We'll have a company foundation called With Open Eyes, or Open Eyes on the car, and it's a company that we've been involved with for a couple of years. I actually went to Africa with them a couple summers ago, and they're doing great things over there, and also in India and Nepal, reaching these very remote villages and spreading the gospel and the good news.
Well, that's awesome. No pressure. Your first Xfinity race in probably one of the most iconic cars in the whole series, and being with Joe Gibbs Racing. Well, Connor, we're just about out of time for this segment. I really do appreciate you spending a little bit of your time with us this morning, and we'll look forward to speaking with you later in the year.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Well, there you have it. Up close and personal with Connor Mosack. Now back to the show. As you can see, that young man is getting a tremendous amount of experience this year, running both the ARCA, the Trans Am Series, some Xfinity racing, and who knows what's next. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll look back on another spotlight interview with NASCAR Xfinity driver Anthony Alfredo. We'll be right back with more Raceface highlights here on Racing America.
Hi, my name is Hudson Bolger, and you're watching Raceface Driver Updates on Racing America.
Welcome back. I had an opportunity to sit down with NASCAR Xfinity driver and iRacing team owner Anthony Alfredo, and here are some highlights from that interview. Well, good afternoon, Anthony, and I'd like to thank you for taking a few minutes out of your busy schedule to spend with us today here on Raceface Driver Updates on Racing America. So how are things going?
Things have been going really well. It's been very busy, as you mentioned, but in a good way. I'm doing what I love each and every day and can't complain about that by any means.
So I think there's a lot of fans out there would like to know, what does a typical week look like for Anthony Alfredo leading up to a race?
Well, really starting off on Monday, usually that's a competition meeting day, but for our team in our motorsports, we actually do that Tuesday just because all of our guys that work on the road also work in the shop. So there's, a way to kind of structure our meetings around their efficiency, getting unloaded Monday from the previous race weekend, stripping the car down and the whole teardown process. And then, of course, then lead into our team meeting Tuesday morning before we start prepping for the next race. So it's a little bit different, but that kind of makes Tuesday the busier day of the week, whereas usually Monday is. However, I'm training each and every day physically. I do a lot of weightlifting, cycling, and then I just have a lot of outdoors activities I enjoy, like paddleboarding, fishing, and all that good stuff. But sometimes it's hard to get that all in, just between the competition meetings, any sponsor meetings I may have, and just debriefing from the previous race, briefing for the upcoming event, and much more. So it's all exciting stuff, but it definitely gets pretty hectic at times, especially because the schedule's not always the same. I'd say there's those handful of things are the few that are weekly, but there's so much that just occurs spontaneously during my schedule that, kind of brings new things up and shakes the schedule up every week. And by Thursday, you're already getting ready to leave that afternoon, if not Friday morning, for race weekend. So you really only have 3.5 days to kind of cram all this stuff in. And that includes studying for the next race on top of the physical training side of things.
Yeah, and you're also very, very involved in the iRacing aspect. Can you explain to us a little bit about your involvement with that?
Absolutely. So sim racing and sim time is critical for preparing for upcoming races. At the very least, it's a great training tool and visual for new tracks and even tracks you've been to, just to kind of recall the last time you were there, some of your lift points, some of the bumps in the track, because even on iRacing, these tracks are 3D scanned. So you can feel every bump, every seam exactly like you would in real life. And even at home on my SimSeats driving simulator, I have D-Box haptics. So I could feel those subtle cues and get into a rhythm, get comfortable, so that when I get there for race weekend, I could maximize that limited practice time we have, which is only about 20 minutes. So just kind of knowing where I need to be before I get there is super beneficial. And then, of course, I live stream on my Twitch channel, Anthony Alfredo Racing, and that's just a lot of fun. But kind of subconsciously, I'm still honing my skills and working on my craft, whether I'm racing with fans or racing in a league. I've got the Monday Night Racing League every Monday. My personal league, the Esports Racing League, is back up on Wednesdays. And then I spot the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series for one of our drivers, Briar LaPrade, on top of owning one of the charters with Exec Gaming. So it's just super crazy, a lot going on in the sim racing world, but I'm very passionate about esports and gaming. And I think iRacing is where that gap is bridged together with the motorsports industry.
Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, a lot of people do not have a lot of the skill sets that you have as far as a lot of the off-track stuff. I mean, we know the skill sets on the track, but let's shift gears just a little bit, because we've only got a couple minutes left. Let's talk about, what does Anthony need to do to position yourself to get in the playoffs? You're currently sitting in 13th position right now. You're 58 points out of the transfer, but you've got some tracks coming up that I think is going to really play in your wheelhouse. So how do you see that unfolding?
Well, it's critical we execute every single week from here on out and don't have any issues. I said that 3 races back after Darlington, where we ran top 10 all race and just had some issues on pit road and just some circumstantial things that didn't go our way, and we settled for a top 15. But when you have a car capable of running better than that, you have to finish there. So everyone needs to do their part to execute. And after the briefing from that race, the next 3 weeks went horribly wrong and just disastrous. After I said we can't afford a bad race, we had 3 of them. So hopefully we got all that out of the way. Somehow we're still 13th in points after all of that, but we obviously lost that buffer we had behind us, and now we're further off of the cut line. So we got our work cut out for us. We're going to have to perform really, really well and hope other people don't have the best of luck while we're out there executing. But there's some good tracks for us to score stage points and compete for solid finishes. The road courses, Daytona is a race we can go win. Finished 7th there to start the year and 6th at Daytona. I think our super speedway program is excellent. And then even some of the short tracks too. So just that intermediate program is what we've been working on, but we've already, became a top 12 team on a regular basis, I believe, or had top 12 cars. So it's just putting it all together, and we definitely need to figure that out so that we can make it inside that top 12 cut line before the playoffs start, and obviously, perform even better from there so that we can make it as far as we can in the standings.
Well, Anthony, we're just about out of time. Thank you so much for spending time. And by the way, congratulations on that pole award at Portland. Even though the race was, I'm not a big fan of running big, heavy race cars in the rain, but that's a subject for another time. But good luck this weekend at Nashville. Make sure you're hydrated, man. It's really, really hot in the Midwest. Well, that's it for this week's Spotlight interview here on Raceface Driver Updates on Racing America. So we're going to go back to the show. That is one busy young man. It's time for another commercial break, and when we return, we'll check in on Raceface Next drivers and a couple of new segments that were added just for some fun. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Raceface highlights here on Racing America.
Hi, my name is Joey East, and you're watching Raceface Driver Updates on Racing America.
Welcome back. In May, we started what we call the Spotters Challenge, a chance to win racing swag from both Raceface and Racing America. It's simple to play, and everyone is a winner. Somewhere during the show, you will see this guy pop up giving you a lap number. Hint, this is today's chance to win. Take that lap number and go to spotterlap.com and enter to win. Like I said earlier, everyone's going to win something. T-shirts, polos, free Speed Zone reward memberships, and even discount coupons at Victory Lane Design. So make sure to tune in every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 9:30 p.m. Pacific Time here on Racing America, because you never know when this guy will show up. Another special we started was Track Lap with Fast Pasta. Here's a look back at a lap around Charlotte Motor Speedway with our very own Anthony Alfredo, better known as Fast Pasta.
Hey everybody, Anthony Alfredo here, taking you for a lap around the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway ahead of this weekend's race on Memorial Day weekend. We're going to start our lap at the start-finish line right here as we come through the quad oval and enter turn 1. Big arc down to the bottom. This track is super rough, so it's pretty hard to handle, but if you get to this blue painted line, there's a ton of grip on it. It helps the car turn for sure, but there's also going to be some PJ1 traction compound, which will allow you to move around a lot. But turns 3 and 4 has even larger radius, so it's more critical down here even to get to that line, wrap it tight, get a low straight exit, so you can climb over those bumps off of turn 4 and onto the front straightaway. That's been your track lap with Fast Pasta around Charlotte Motor Speedway.
I want to give a special shout out to Raceface Next drivers Carter Whalen and Landon Cox, who were both at the Battle at the Brickyard at Indianapolis Motor Speedway that saw over 480 cars competing. Carter Whalen put both his heavy Honda and heavy 160 into the A mains and brought home a top 10 in both of those classes. Landon Cox won his junior Honda heat race and then finished 6th in the A main out of 49 cars, some of the top drivers in the nation. If you've never been to a big quarter midget race, then you should put that on your bucket list. There is never a dull moment, and you never know. You might be able to say, I saw that NASCAR star when he was racing quarter midgets. We're headed for our last commercial break, and when we come back, we'll recap a dream season of young Mississippi driver Cole Denton and give you a rundown on what drivers will be in action this weekend. So stay right there, and we'll be back with more Raceface highlights right here on Racing America.
Hi, my name's Brody Moore, and you're watching Raceface Driver Updates on Racing America.
Welcome back. Raceface Next driver Cole Denton has had a dream season so far this year, starting with winning the Winter Nationals, which were a combination of road course races at the Firm and oval races at Citrus County Speedway, where he won 6 races, had 2 second-place finishes, and a third-place finish in 9 starts on his way to that championship. He then backed that up by winning the Spring Nationals at Highland Rim and Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, the Furious 5 Championship at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and recently the Thursday Thunder Championship at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Throw in several wins at Chris Motorsports Park. Now get this, he has 25 wins, 12 seconds, 1 third, and 1 fourth in 39 starts, and the season is only halfway over. Oh, and he was on the cover of Today in Mississippi. Good luck in the second half of the season, Cole. Let's now take a look at Raceface drivers seeing action this weekend. Anthony Alfredo will return to Atlanta Motor Speedway for the NASCAR Xfinity Series Alsco Uniform 250 on Saturday. Sheldon Creed will also be in Atlanta for the NASCAR Xfinity 250-mile race on the USA Network at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday. Connor Mozak returns to Mid-Ohio for the ARCA Racing Series Dawn 150 on July 8th. Jesse Love will also be at Mid-Ohio for the ARCA Dawn 150 on July 8th. Cassidy Hines returns to Colorado National Speedway in her super late model Brody Moore will also be at Colorado National in his number 14 Super Late Model on Saturday. Cole Denton will be at Atlanta Motor Speedway for the All-Star race on Saturday. Hudson Bulger will also be at Atlanta Motor Speedway for the All-Star race on Saturday as well. That's it for this week's Raceface Driver Updates. And remember, if you've missed any of our shows, you can get caught up at raceface.tv on demand. Don't forget to follow us on social media. Make sure to check out Speed Zone Race Store for the latest in apparel. As always, we encourage you to support local racing in your communities. We'll be back next week with more from your favorite Raceface drivers. So go out there, have a great race week. I'm Rod Wortham. Thanks for watching.